The world can fall apart in a single night. A group of strangers is trapped inside a shopping mall while chaos erupts outside. But maybe it's hiding in there with them. With his film debut, Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder delivers something brutal, fast-paced, and perhaps unintentionally, deeply human. Not because of those who turn into zombies, but because of how the ones who remain alive chose to act. Through cruelty or compassion, their reactions reveal a fundamental truth. Some people were never truly human to begin with, even if they were never really bitten. But why zombies? And why, of all places, a shopping mall? To understand that, we need to stop for a moment and look around. The answers are already in the context. In 2004, only 3 years had passed since 9/11, and the United States was still drowning in a state of latent paranoia. Fear was constant, aimed at the invisible, infection, contamination, into the other. The Iraq War dominated the news, showing images of bombed cities, deserted streets, and urban chaos straight out of a cinematic nightmare. Meanwhile, entertainment was shifting. DVDs were at their peak, and the internet was becoming mainstream. Forums were gathering spots, and Napster had left its mark in how piracy worked. Above all, there was one clear symbol of the era: the shopping mall, the ultimate temple of American consumerism, reaching its final peak just before the decline. Today, malls across the US are in crisis. Many have closed, others had been repurposed into residential complexes, offices, and even sports centers. But in 2004, the mall was still king. A symbol not just of buying, but of belonging. All of this, consciously or not, seeps into the frantic, brutal, and revealing images of Dawn of the Dead. Welcome to this channel. I'm Bandido. If you've watched my videos or read my books before, thank you for coming back. If it is your first time, I'm glad you're here. This is a space where I explore movies, TV series, books, or any other cultural phenomenon I find interesting, not just for what they show us, but for what they reveal about ourselves. In this channel, storytelling is a mirror, a tool, and a compass. Welcome. Let's go back to Dawn of the Dead. This wasn't just a remake of a zombie classic. It was Zack Snyder's cinematic debut. Visually intense, handheld camera fever dream with rapid editing and hypnotic pacing. Snyder crafted unforgettable sequences, often framed by provocative music choices, from Johnny Cash melancholy to the Disturbed furious metal. Even then, you could see his obsession with style, action, and the tragic hero. But behind all that adrenaline was a script by none other than James Gunn, who had just written the Scooby-Doo movie. It was an odd pairing, but one that gave the film its mix of dark humor and social despair. Both would go on to shape superhero cinema, Snyder with Watchmen, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, while James Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy and now the new Superman. But before capes and franchises, they were already here, showing us the end of the world, from the comfort of a mall. The 2000s were the golden age of zombies. 28 Days Later, Resident Evil, Shaun of the Dead, I Am Legend, Zombieland, they hit the screen like a cinematic plot. Zombies became the perfect metaphor for the collective fear. The collapse of social systems, mass infection, the slow, terrifying loss of humanity. But they weren't just symbols of the end. They were also very marketable. In adaptations like I Am Legend, the original vampires of the book were turned into zombies for one reason: marketing. Audiences loved them, until they didn't. Oversaturation set in, and eventually, the zombie became stale, predictable. But in 2004, that fatigue hadn't arrived yet, and maybe that's why so few films captured the zombie symbolism as sharply as Dawn of the Dead. Before they were blockbuster monsters, zombies were born from the Haitian folklore and voodoo magic, symbolizing spiritual slavery, soulless body reanimated only to serve their master. Hollywood quickly became interested, using them as exotic horror in films like White Zombie back in 1932. But in 1968, George A. Romero changed everything. Night of the Living Dead transformed the zombie into a modern myth, a mirror of racial tensions, societal breakdown, and latent violence. And due to a legal oversight, the copyright logo was missing, Night of the Living Dead became public domain. The zombie was now free to roam. He accidentally released a metaphor that could adapt to any collective fear. Let me know in the comments of this video. What about you? Any zombie movies, video games, or even songs that made a difference in you? For me, it was The Misfits. What about you? So, what is Dawn of the Dead about? In Milwaukee, Anna, a nurse, comes home after a long shift, unaware that this night will end her life as she knows it. By morning, her husband is attacked by a zombified neighbor girl. The infection spreads instantly. Anna flees through a burning neighborhood. The apocalypse has arrived. She joins a group of survivors. Kenneth, a stoic cop, Michael, a calm, rational salesman, Andre, a man with a troubled past, and his pregnant wife, Luda. They seek shelter in Crossroads Mall, a foul sanctuary of abundance, but the mall is not empty. 3 armed security guards, led by the authoritarian CJ, had seized control. Conflict brews. As the undead grow in number, the survivors fall into a strange rhythm of life. They eat canned food, wear new clothes, and distract themselves with fake normality. But it doesn't last. Luda has been bitten. She gives birth to a zombie baby, shattering any illusion of hope. And meanwhile, Andy, a nearby gun store owner, is trapped. He and Kenneth had formed a silent rooftop friendship. Using cardboard signs, they try sending Andy supplies using a dog, but he gets bitten too. The rescue attempt fails. And with no other options left, the group modifies 2 buses into makeshift tanks and makes a break for the harbor. The escape is messy, bloody. Some die, some get infected. A few make it into the boat, heading toward the supposedly deserted island. But then, we watch the post-credits scene. But we'll talk about that a bit later. Snyder's remake is neither contemplative nor slow like Romero's original. In this new version, zombies run. They scream with desperation. They attacked in frenzied hordes, radiating a visceral, terrifying urgency that, until then, had only been captured by 28 days later. There are unforgettable images in this film. The baby zombie, the cruel deaths, the massive explosions, and above all, that raw, accelerated tone struck a deep chord with audiences, turning Dawn of the Dead into a massive commercial success. The movie grossed more than $100 million, quadrupling its modest $26 million budget. Snyder had awakened a cinematic feast, one that would run faster and scream louder than any other zombie before it. Let's talk about the mall, the space where Dawn of the Dead unfolds. In the US, the shopping mall once meant more than buying and selling. It was a place to go with your family, a spot to meet friends. It symbolized not only American consumerism, but also a sense of community that's been slowly vanishing. In the midst of the apocalypse, what remains intact? The stores, the clothes, the superficial appearance of normal life. The mall, originally designed for shopping, becomes an improvised shelter for survival. The metaphor is harsh as it is obvious. Capitalism isn't here to save us. At best, it entertains us, it distracts us, while we wait for the inevitable. The shopping mall is, at once, the heart and the open wound of an America that is quietly bleeding out. Amid the apocalyptic chaos of Dawn of the Dead, the characters fall into archetypes. The leader, the skeptic, the redeemer, the selfish one, the innocent. As days go by, trust begins to erode, and the classic survival tropes appear. Those bitten by zombies hide their infection until they no longer can. Some become extreme individualists, while others try to maintain social hierarchies that, at this point, have no meaning. Like in Lord of the Flies, small power structures emerge. Fragile empires built from desperation. Everyone is equal in the face of death, but not everyone reacts to it in the same way. And despite all the horror, the film leaves room for redemption. The security guards, who initially imposed authoritarian rule over the mall, not only lose their power, one of them sacrifices himself heroically for the group. A reminder that, even in the end of the world, there's still room for humanity. One of the things that made Dawn of the Dead special wasn't even on the main screen. It was hidden in the DVD menus, the special features, extra scenes, secret documents, and diaries from characters like Andy, the lonely gun shop owner, whose parallel story unfolds almost in silence in a different corner of the apocalypse. Those menus contain details that never made it to the movie theater, but that expanded the world of the film. Watching them felt like discovering a secret door in a house you thought you knew. Today, all of that feels like it belongs to another era. But at that time, DVDs offers a more intimate experience. You didn't just watch a movie, you explored its world. And perhaps the most memorable of all those scenes happens after the credits. Final sequence, filmed in found footage style, revealing that the paradise island where the survivors had escaped is also overrun. Death was simply inevitable. In 2004, post-credit scenes were not a formula. They were not advertisements for sequels, they were surprises. Years before the MCU turned them into tradition, before audiences stay in their seats waiting for something more, Dawn of the Dead was already using that final space to extend the horror, and not to open the door for a sequel, but to slam it shut, ruthlessly, without hope. It flipped the ending we thought we saw, showing us the true conclusion, not survival, only extinction. And that kind of definitive ending, today, when every film seems designed to leave threads open for sequels or spin-offs, feels like a rare act of narrative courage, because back then, it was still possible to end the story. Today, Hollywood rarely takes that risk. Dawn of the Dead is more than just a zombie movie, more than a solid remake. It is, above all, a cultural document, a precise snapshot of a paranoid society still living in the shadow of 9/11. A reflection of an entertainment industry entirely surrendered to consumerism, and an audience willing to embrace dark, definitive stories so long as they were entertaining. From today's perspective, its narrative structure might seem strange, its ending too final, its medium, DVDs loaded with hidden content, almost prehistoric. But that's exactly what makes the film unique and valuable. Returning to it now, we don't just witness fiction. When we rewatch Dawn of the Dead, we remember what it felt like to die and to survive in the 2000s. If you would like to help to keep this channel alive and survive the apocalypse, you can do a few simple things. Subscribe, give this video a like, or leave a comment with a topic you'd like to see in the next episode. It really makes all the difference. And if you like this channel, you'll probably enjoy my podcast, although it's in Spanish, named Conversaciones. For all, that's all, compadre. Thanks for watching.